Hey everyone, we're Red Donkey Projections. I'm Eric, and we have Lucas as always.
Hey everyone.
And we also have a special guest today, and we're featuring Ethan Nablocki.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, so what we're going to be talking about today is the state of Florida, and we're going to delve into a few aspects of Florida, its response to the coronavirus, and its impact on the 2020 election if Joe Biden does win the state.
We will leave a link to Ethan's channel in the description. He has a great channel going. Go and subscribe to him right now. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So I'll start off this video by talking about coronavirus and how it's impacted this election, and in Florida in particular. Today, a new headline came out with Florida surpassing New York to become the state with the second highest number of coronavirus cases. So as some of you know, New York was the first of the states to get hit really hard. It was like number one for a very long time. Especially the New York City got hit a lot, which is obviously the most populated state in the United States. So this is pretty bad. California surpassed it, but again, California is the most populated state. Florida and New York, I think that Florida is a little bit more populated than New York. Not completely sure about that.
Yeah.
But they're about the same population. But this is definitely not good.
Yeah. Florida has 12,000 daily cases. Which does surpass New York, and it's not looking good.
Insane.
Mm-hmm.
That is like new record-breaking numbers. 414,000 compared to 411.
And actually, it's even more like scary when you think about it because although they have like pretty similar populations, the New York City metro area is the most populated in the country, as we noted. It's like Florida has a lot more suburban areas, so the fact that they've managed to see such like a quick spread is quite scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely agree with that because in New York, like in New York City, you have everything compact next to each other. So like you go on the subway together, you are living in an apartment together, so it was a bit inevitable that it would spread so much in New York because of how compact it was. Florida obviously is very different than New York City, so it's definitely not looking good for Ron DeSantis. And a huge difference between DeSantis and Andrew Cuomo is how they handled it. Many people do believe that Andrew Cuomo handled it very positively. On the other hand, DeSantis has received a lot of negative attention for how he's handled it. And I think I'll let one of you guys talk about his handling here.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I remember there was this very viral clip of him. It was like the end of May, and he was being interviewed outside by reporters, and he's like, oh, they said it was going to be 8 weeks. Where's the spike? Where's the spike? And then of course, he completely disregarded that, this virus is very dangerous and it can spread very quickly compared to other viruses. And he just didn't respond to it. He didn't respond to it very well. And that resulted in so many cases. And now he has 12,000 daily cases that he has to deal with. And it was just not an adequate response.
And actually, you bring up a good point, Eric, because we look at the way that Andrew Cuomo responded to the coronavirus in the state of New York. And regardless of whether or not you approve or disapprove, I think one of the key factors in his big approval ratings jump during the coronavirus has specifically been the way that he's handled it with the public. Because we see these important press conferences that he's been holding, and there's a lot of coverage about these press coverages make him look very presidential, and he looks very professional, like he's handling it like a pro, and he's very honest with the public. And we compare that to, as Eric noted, how at many times Governor DeSantis has almost flouted the data that we have, and it doesn't really seem like he's interacting with the public in a way that will make people feel safe.
I 100% agree. To add on to that as well, Cuomo handled it very aggressively, shut down every single thing. Ron DeSantis, on the other hand, has been criticized by many people for reopening too early. And we kind of see that in Florida today. The beaches are open. We see lots of people going to the beaches. And inevitably, they're going to be transmitting coronavirus to each other, which is definitely not good. And that will not look good on Ron DeSantis either. while Andrew Cuomo is seeing rising approval ratings. At one point, he had 70% approval from Republicans. That is quite shocking.
And the most, sorry, I just want to add one more important fact. The most important and dangerous fact that Ron DeSantis is not doing is mandating a mask throughout the whole state. Yes, certain counties, as we will show later in this video, do mandate masks, such as Miami-Dade and the Florida Keys area, but the governor himself has not mandated a mask. So there are a lot of people, as Lucas said, on these beaches, crowded right next to each other like nothing, like there's no virus around, and there's no mask required. And there's a new study that says the virus is airborne, meaning that not only is it droplets, but like it can travel through air like very efficiently. And in such a populated place like a beach, without a mask requirement, that's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. And it might not even just be like a Democratic Republican split on a mask mandate either. We saw Greg Abbott in Texas, who actually did enforce a mask policy as well. But we're not seeing Ron DeSantis do that. And a lot of people are viewing him as being very negative as a result. And now this gets to the part where it's like, so what? So what if Ron DeSantis isn't handling it well? His governor election isn't this year. But you know what is this year? The presidential election. Ron DeSantis ran in 2018 as a governor, as a staunch Trump ally. I remember watching that gubernatorial debate between Adam Putnam and Ron DeSantis. They both had strong support to President Trump. And the issue here is, if this happens, a lot of voters might connect the two together. And as a result of Ron DeSantis's mistakes, a lot of that could be also carried to Donald Trump as well. And this brings us to another issue for President Trump, and that would be higher turnout in certain counties. Ethan, do you want to dig a little bit into this a bit more?
Yeah, of course. So, Florida, similarly to a lot of other states in the country, does have a large discrepancy between which counties vote towards which party. And obviously, the more urban areas of Florida, such as the Miami metro area, the Jacksonville metro area, and the Tampa metro area, these groups do vote a lot more heavily towards the Democratic Party as opposed to the Republican Party. And obviously, turnout plays an extremely important role here, because there's absolutely no question Miami is going to go to former Vice President Joe Biden. But if turnout in that county is significantly raised, or if even the percentage-wise it goes towards Biden as more than expected, that for Trump's campaign here in Florida.
Oops, sorry about that. I think I messed it up. But I completely agree with that, because in Florida, there are, especially in the city of Miami, there's quite a few Hispanics. And that's kind of coming from like Cuba. They did migrate to the city of Miami. And if we see higher turnout from Latino groups in a city like Miami, this could spell, as Eric said before, a recipe for disaster for President Trump. Because a lot of Hispanics do tend to vote for the Democratic candidate, although I have to admit, according to the data, Trump is gaining a tiny bit in Latino support. I do think it was about a 1% gain. But I do believe that with a higher Latino turnout, Joe Biden will absolutely benefit from this. And as Ethan mentioned, Miami-Dade, Broward County, and Palm Beach County, very important counties that are necessary, that could very much help Joe Biden, because they are more populated areas. We also got Orlando. If we see higher turnout from these counties, this could spell trouble for President Trump. Eric, do you have anything else to add?
No, it's just that I agree with your point that the turnout will definitely increase, and not only because of hating on the response of Ron DeSantis with coronavirus, but also Black Lives Matter protests. The Latinos, as Lucas pointed out here, are heavily in support of this movement, and they probably will want to get out and vote, because they do know that Donald Trump is not, as much in support of this movement as the Democrats. So the people here will definitely want to turn out more and get to the pollster and vote, or do mail-in ballots, whatever happens, because one, coronavirus, and two, Black Lives Matter. And it's definitely hitting a state like Florida, both of those events.
I completely agree with that. Now we're going to head to another segment, which we also call the So What. What if Biden can carry Florida? We're going to plot this out right now, because right now it does look pretty likely that Biden can carry the state of Florida. Ethan, what do you put the state of Florida on as your regular predictions?
Currently, I tend to put Florida, as of right now, as either a lean or a tilt blue. Obviously, the polls are telling us that there's going to be a very close race in Florida, as there has been in the last couple of previous elections. And obviously, former Vice President Joe Biden has a fairly substantial lead in Florida at the moment. But I do think it is also important for us to recognize that it is still a swing state, and I don't think that necessarily categorizing it as safe or likely blue, as many people have at this time so early in the game, is necessarily accurate. But I think it just does come to show that Florida having such a strong lead for Biden so early in the campaign could spell disaster for Trump later down the line, as Eric noted, because candidates don't often see poll numbers super in flux, especially in states like Florida, especially when former Vice President Joe Biden already has such a huge lead in Florida so early on.
I completely agree with that, and we don't personally put this one as a safe or likely either. We actually put this one as either lean or tilt, as you said. We do tend to put it to lean now. Looking at the polling, look at all that's happened so far. So let's look at the impact of this actually. Florida. What if Florida goes blue? Well, this doesn't put him over the edge, but what if he can take the state of Michigan, which it does look like he will take right now? 277 electoral votes. He doesn't need Wisconsin. He doesn't need Pennsylvania. He doesn't need Arizona. He doesn't need Arizona. He doesn't need Texas. He doesn't need Georgia. He doesn't need North Carolina. He wins with just Florida and Michigan, taking into account that he does carry all the other states, which we do think at the moment he will probably take. Just for the margins for this, I didn't put in the margins for any of these states. But what would also be likely is that he carries Florida with Arizona. That also puts him over. 272, that's game over. So Florida has a huge impact, 29 electoral votes. It's the biggest swing state out there.
Now, of course, Florida, as Lucas noted, is one of the largest swing states out there with 29 electoral college votes. And the chances are that if Florida does end up going blue, Arizona is probably going to follow suit as well. Because, I mean, both of them have extremely large urban white as well as Latino populations, and these are the demographics in play for a state like Florida. And so when he's already doing so well in a state like Arizona with these key demographics, you really have to ask what Trump's chances are when he's doing so poorly with the demographics that are going to be the ones that decide this state.
And it's really not looking good for him, because with Florida gone, again, as you said, Arizona will fall too, and so will many states in the blue wall as well. And me saying this is really surprising, considering that just 2 months ago when we did our first election night video, we gave Florida to Trump. Things have shifted a lot recently, especially with the impact of coronavirus. So that is definitely something to keep in mind here.
I think it also just comes to show the gravity of Florida in this race so far is extremely important to note, because as the map shows right now, there's a chance that Biden wins Florida and Arizona based on higher Latino turnout. And even if he completely bombs the white vote and loses the Rust Belt altogether, it doesn't matter. He would still get elected. And the chances of this happening are actually a lot higher than people think, which I think, as Lucas said, just does come to show how much things have shifted in the past couple of months.
Yeah.
So look at this. Let's just give everything to him. He still wins. That's pretty crazy.
Yep. And I just wanted to add, if all of this continues, if this rate continues, if DeSantis does not mandate a mask, if DeSantis continues to respond to coronavirus at the moment, and if these protests continue to happen, which is really likely, because these are the longest lasting protests that I've seen in a while regarding Black Lives Matter, this could be the end of, this could be the end of Donald Trump's presidency, because Joe Biden could definitely take all these votes. But again, we still have, 100 days, which is crazy because time flies. So anything could change. But once again, if all these trends continue, then it's possible that Joe Biden can have a very easy shot at winning the election. Not 100%, but pretty easy.
Absolutely. And with that being said, that is the end of the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, let us also know in the comments, because we know that last video I didn't do that good of a job Let us know if you guys like us preparing a little bit more in the future. So if you like this video, please hit the like button and comment to tell us. And if you like our content, please hit subscribe and hit the bell notification. And we'll see you in our next episode tomorrow.
See ya.